Welcome to Co-Emergence Podcast, where we facilitate conversations for a better world. If you are interested in discovering more about what works in the world, then you are in the right place. We lead a collective inquiry into the best ideas and practices that enable people, organizations, and systems to function in greater harmony with the world. Follow our podcast and take part in the conversation at co-emergence.org. Today we have our beautiful Dianne Sykes as our guest. So Dianne is a quantum physiologist. She helps executives, world-class athletes, and leaders wield their energy for optimized human experience and capacity to serve at the greatest degree. So welcome, Dianne. And perhaps you would like to say a few words about what you do and how you have experienced this time that we're in and the transition that we're all consciously or less consciously, but trying to really step into to create a more harmonious society for all of us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. It is a very exciting time. As humans, we are evolving one way or the other. You know, our spiritual and physical evolution is progressing, whether we are fully on board with it or not. And perhaps the physical disconnect that many of us feel is because there's a fight with it. And when we fight natural order, it can create a lot of toxicity and perhaps a very volatile internal environment for the human systems. And I love, I love being inside the cell, and really interested in the human experience from the corporeal weight of the body, because many of us who are on spiritual paths can, and myself included, can be so excited as well about the cosmos and the etheric nature of things, and the philosophy of things. And there also still gets to be the integration with the holy human body that we live inside. And so optimizing that holy human body to be able to not just handle the highly pressurized times that we live in, but what I've noticed in my own direct experience in coaching and working with individuals for over 20 years is that it's relatively easy to get what you want. The question is, can you handle it once you get it? And then beyond that, can you freaking enjoy it? That's where I see so many people just blowing out, right? We've seen this time immemorial. The person who achieves that level of success, that level of whatever that success looks like to them, whether fame or fortune or leading a country or whatever that is, and what happens? They can't hold it, right? The mental and physical capacity just isn't there to hold that kind of spirit. And so it usually is, again, this is just my interpretation, is that it usually ends in some kind of a tragedy and some kind of a sadness. Does that necessarily have to be? I don't know. But I'm really interested in finding out what we're actually capable of and getting humans to actually enjoy their success once they get there.
I love that. And to me, it reminds that there's so much conversation around, these more harmonious and beautiful times and communities and projects and organizations. And we set these very high intentions, but I love, this idea of how are we able to hold that space. And I wonder whether you notice any specific patterns that people struggle with or that they're challenged with, or is it very individual, or is there still something that can be sort of more captured in some kind of useful steps that anybody could use?
It's a great question. Because we each all are so unique and individual, and sometimes it's a highly customized experience. However, there are so many common denominators as we all share, the same musculoskeletal systems, cardiovascular structure. We take the skin off, we pretty much all look the same. And what makes us so different is the soul that incarnates this physical body. So if we just take that out and say, well, how can we optimize the actual human system? What I noticed is that, yes, it's actually a really, really big question you ask, Alex. And I know we've had conversations behind the scenes about this. So let's just get really kind of simplified. Our bodies get into a very diseased place when we're not operating in accordance with universal law. And what is universal law? That nature is an ebb and flow, that nature is constantly changing. I think the most exciting and profound thing that I ever learned as a young grad student was that the physiology of the body is apoptosis, meaning this cellular death, which happens literally every millisecond. So every second we die and rebirth. And to me, that makes me tear, because that means that in every second as we die, we are reborn. Every second we zero out, we come into this place where it is infinite possibility of what gets to be in the next moment. And yes, so here's where the polarity exists, because again, we're in this 3D reality, even though we are, of course, in understanding that we live in a multidimensional experience. Humans will always reside in this dimension, and we are always going to reside in this dimension. We get to accept the polarity of the earth. And so dying and opening up to limitless potential is really exciting and also really terrifying. We've been indoctrinated in every culture over many, 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 many generations to fear the unknown, to fear isolation, to fear emptiness. We have been taught that zero is worthless.
Well, I found extremely interesting what you're saying, Dianne, from the point of view that it was the generations of denying the body. And now so many modalities, and it's fascinating to read your bio and to see that you operate from that modality, which me personally, I'm just discovering that the way to embodiment is the way to become better version, divine version of who we're supposed to be from the start. And that disconnection created that creates that suffering, because we are not fully embodied. We don't fully understand how the physiology works, and you are the expert in physiology and how the body works. So it's absolutely fascinating. I would have a question like continuing that pattern which Alex asked. If you see the patterns, what would be the first advice for the novice to do to look at for change? What would be the best way to start with? I am here now and I want to become that superhuman, and it is such a leap, such a huge distance. That's, for many of us, it is unachievable, but you are proving that it's achievable. And I know in my environment many people who are going that way as well. So what would be your answer?
Super fun. That's a great question. So get playful, and permission to just drop the both of you in as my little human experiment in our lab right now. Is that cool?
Go for it. Yeah.
So what I want you both to do is close your eyes, and I want you to just come into an awareness of your body and just allow your mental capacity to latch on to anything inside your body that you can start to feel into. So whatever that spot is, locate it. You know, it could be your heart, it could be some muscle in your body, it could be some place you're experiencing pain, it could be a hair follicle, whatever. Just go where you naturally want to go. Once you're there, very, very easy. You're probably right in that spot. What I want you to do next is I want you to just send energy there. Just direct your energy, your attention. Pay attention to that spot. And linger there for a moment. Just meander, poke around. And start to paint a very vivid picture of what you think that part of your body looks like. So if you had X-ray vision, you went inside your skin, you're kind of inside the body looking at it. What does it look like? What color is it? What shape is it? What is the smell that you smell? What does it feel like? If it had a taste, could you taste it? So use all 5 of your senses right now to actually tap into an intimate inside part of your own body. And with childlike wonderment, stay curious. Don't judge. Don't try to figure anything out. And the more that you want to, the more you get to just be there. Be in shock. Be in wonder. Be in awe. And now just take a deep breath, and as you inhale, bring that oxygen into your body. And now follow this oxygen path. So you're going to take that oxygen into your body, you're going to drag it across the back of your throat so delightfully, you're going to pull it through, down through your bronchioles, which are what attach to your beautiful lungs. And in those lungs are these tiny little sets of lungs, if you will, inside each cell, inside your lung, that exchange that oxygen, that take in that oxygen, put it into the bloodstream. So now you're getting that oxygen into your bloodstream. And your blood is going to carry that oxygen to this place that you decided to pay attention to. Oxygen is your chi, it's your life force. Feed it. Allow it to be fed and just bear witness to it. What do you notice is coming up? Stay in that observer seat. And you can inhale, exhale again, and just kind of open your eyes, come back. So what we just did was we created an experience where you were inside your body and you were giving yourself life. So the first step in understanding the power of your own human body is realizing that you have absolutely everything you require, not just to survive, but to fully thrive in every single moment, no matter what kind of shit show is around you. No matter what kind of celebration is around you, that you are always completely whole and in command of your physical body. And that is a power that nothing, no dark force, no light, no $1 million, no human can take away from you. And so now with that understanding, you can allow your soul, which makes your body unique, you can allow your soul to settle in to that spot just a little more fully, just a little bit more deeply, knowing that you are completely safe. So that in and of itself opens up a whole new, it's an imprint, right? You are both now different. And thank you so much for allowing me to get intimate with you. You know, it's psychic surgery that we just performed in the sense that you will never, ever, ever be the same again. And not just because of this exercise, but because that is the natural law. You are never ever the same, ever. And now you get to see it's not so scary, because you know what? You got this. You got your blood flow. You've got air. And last time I checked, there's an infinite supply of it. And the human body can take it in no matter how filthy or polluted it is. And we not only are going to be able to take that air in, we can adapt to it. It's an imprint that you take with you wherever you go. And little by little, Magdalena, to answer your question, it's a devotion. It's a cellular devotion. It's a daily practice of coming back into that place and allowing yourself to linger. And when you forget, when you go sideways, because we all do, when you get the freak out, oxygen just went into my lungs. I transferred it. It went into my bloodstream, and I'm carrying that oxygen to all of my working muscles. I don't require any food. I don't require any sex. I don't require any money. I'm okay. I'm okay. And because I'm okay, the world is okay. Does that answer your question?
Well, it's a discipline, isn't it? It's a discipline to return to that place inside yourself. It's remembering and reminding yourself, remembering who you are and reminding yourself who you are. And then devotional practice, I really resonate with that. I'm a Shakti dance teacher, which is rooted in Kundalini yoga. And I know that you are very familiar with Kundalini yoga. And funny enough, I just subscribed for the 40 days meditation with my friend starting on the 1st January. I know very well that I could do it on my own. But I thought that this time I would treat myself to actually join with others and be in that presence together and not to skip a day. I think that is probably what humanity is missing, that trust and discipline. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the devotion is self-devotion first. Because when you are devoted to your most excellent self, right? Then you share that with others without speaking a word. It is a frequency you emanate, and you come into presence with other humans. Because what is inspiration? Inspire. You inspire breath into yourself, and you give permission to others to do the same. And that is when we come into community as inspired humans, it's like tantric numerology. 1 + 1 is never 2. 1 + 1, the power of one human coming together with another human creates. And perhaps that's the powerful message here in the Conscious Synarchy podcast is the collective, the power of humanity in its uplifted state. And it isn't a warrior energy like we're fighting some dark side. It's just we're so exalted, we're so uplifted, we're so healthy, we're so vital that again, we could be drowning in dog shit and still feel like we're totally free.
Well, that takes a mastery, I'm sure.
Daily practice. And what else is there? And to address that, one of my favorite coaches of all time, John Wooden, he coached Michigan here in the United States, Michigan basketball at a time where Michigan was kind of in just like a winning streak, beyond winning streaks. It's gone down in American history as one of the greatest college basketball teams of all time. John Wooden, one of the greatest American coaches of all time. One of the things that he absolutely held to was this: fundamentals. So what did his athletes do? The most talented basketball players in the world What did they do the first month of practice? They weren't doing fancy jump shots. They weren't practicing N1s and showboating. They weren't even scrimmaging. What were they doing? Tying their shoes.
Fair enough.
Untie them, tie them again. Untie them, tie them again. 2 hours. And John Wooden said, if you can't tie your shoes, you're not winning the championship. So why that transfers, right? If you can't practice in here, like it's so easy to be so focused and so busy, like, okay, I'm running a business and I got to do all this marketing and I got to understand Facebook and the algorithms and the ads and, oh, the news is on over here and, oh my God, the world is crashing and I have to know all this stuff about the political agenda. And yes, that could very well be your wheelhouse and where your dharma is being called to, and that's great. But if you're so busy and so focused on serving all of that, but you haven't served your own internal environment, I believe Richard Rudd said it best. Evolution can never happen without involution. Be self-involved in the sense of the cellular state. Be in command of all of your emotions, all 64 genetic expressions. You can't control them, but you can command. You can be in command of your elements. You can be in command of your physical prowess in a very elemental way, right? Elemental, elementary, 5 elements, 5 senses. So then you can do the complex shit, like win a basketball championship, because your shoes are tied.
I would have a question. What is your daily practice? What do you do and how much time it does take you on a daily basis?
Well, Magdalena, I like to stay humble in my practice in that I work with so many athletes and so many leaders. And when I create a dossier for someone, it's always out of what is going to optimize and exalt them best. So my daily practice to share with you is not to say that this is going to be what's right for you. But thank you for asking, and I receive that, and it is a high compliment to receive that kind of a question. I spend several hours in practice every day. I have trained myself and am very, very grateful that I was an athlete growing up. And again, my soul incarnated into this physical experience for a reason. And as much as I fought it in many ways, I now thankfully have come to a deeper acceptance of it and still accepting every day. There are days where I want to not. There are days where I want to sleep in and drink the wine and have the Chinese takeout. And sometimes I do. But my practice right now, I can just drop you into today and say that I wake up in the Amrit Vela hours, which is the ambrosial hours. So the sweet hours between around 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. So I'm always up by around 3 because that is a time where the earth aligns with the sun and the veil is very thin. So it's an opportunity for the physical body to really be in direct contact with some very potent energy that really does create vitality. So everything you're doing in those ambrosial hours is going to be magnified. So again, this is about wielding your body's magnetized energy, your own electromagnetic field with the electromagnetic field of the earth and the way the earth ticks throughout the day. So that is my devotional. And so 3 a.m. for about 3 hours, it's meditation. I have different practices. So right now I'm doing about a 2.5 hour prosperity meditation, some kriyas, which in Kundalini is like an exercise practice. And then I have a group of women that I chant with, which is lovely to come into commune. That's a beautiful experience. And then I get out to do cardio in nature. Despite the weather here in New York, it is still lovely to touch in and be out, usually about a 5 or 6 mile run, sometimes walk. Whatever the weather is, it is, and I accept that. And then throughout the day, I have what I call my micro meditation. So I dose myself accordingly. As I feel every 2 hours, what do I need? How can I optimize myself? What does that look like? And one piece of advice that I would offer, that I do offer to all my clients, is don't try to assume 6 hours, 8 hours, or 3 days out what your body is going to need, because you die and rebirth yourself every moment. Don't overwhelm yourself with the obsessive addiction of trying to plan out your meals or plan because it's futile. It's futile. And it really does relieve yourself of a lot of anxiety when you get to go, okay, for the next 2 hours, probably going to require some hydration. So let me plan for some water. The next 2 hours, am I going to feel hungry? And then really being able to tap into what nutrients, what am I craving? If you get quiet in your mind, just right now I feel vitamin C. Is there an orange in my earshot that I can grab in the next 2 hours? Because I'm feeling like that's what my body is craving right now. And that's kind of how I live my life, in total devotion, surrendering to my own divinity as a human, knowing I am not separate from the divine, that I am in the divine's light. And so how do I serve this primordial light, knowing how special it is?
Can you imagine the world when majority of us have such a deep awareness of the body and intuitively feed on our needs, may it be nutrition or movement or whatever else? How the world would be.
It's why I'm here. It's why I'm here. And it's so funny because even sometimes I'll catch out some of my, lovely women that I commune with or work with or serve in some level of like, and perhaps Alex, you may do this too. I don't meet a lot of men though, but Magdalena, I'm sure you have said this. Just let me run and pee real quick. Let me run to the bathroom real quick. Or you're holding in having to go to the bathroom because you don't want to disrupt other people. But you're sacrificing your own release of urine. Your body is totally uncomfortable because you feel as though something is more important on the outside than your body's need to release urine. The simplest expression of humanity. And yet it is so common for us to go, let me just run and pee really quick. Excuse me, I'm so sorry, I gotta run. What if it just got to be like you said? What if every human just got to be like, I serve my physiology first, and then I schedule every single other thing in my life around my physiology. I wake up when my body is done resting. I go to sleep when my body feels that melatonin, delightful kick in, that little secretion happening, and I get to just put my head down and rest. I am exalted in the light of the sun. I eat what I feel my body is going to need and not worry so much about, again, I feel as though we get into these mental intrigues around, it's got gluten, or, oh my God, it's sprayed with thus and such, and this is unhealthy and that's poison. And yeah, that is all true. And I'm not saying that it is not. However, if you are directing your cells toward that, your cells will respond. But if you direct your cells toward, this is what I'm feeling I need right now, and whatever kind of way I can get it, it's going to be amazing. And the body will adapt. The body will find a way. We are such magnificent organisms. We are so self-organizing that sometimes the best we can do for our health and vitality is just shut up and stay out of its way. If you have to pee, pee. If you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So perhaps some very pragmatic tools for the leader, right? Just noticing in your own kind of 24-hour experience of life where you're selling yourself short, quote unquote, where you're not allowing your physiology to dictate your world. Because when you do, it's such a happy, natural state. Everything gets to be so easy. Even the most amazing activity sucks a little when you have to go to the bathroom. But yet that's what we do.
Very much so.
Yeah, well.
So as you were sharing and as we were doing the exercise previously, a lot of things actually ran through my mind. And one of them is the whole idea of what this podcast is called. It's conscious synarchy, right? It's like being conscious of one's body, the different maybe tensions that we have that we're unconscious of. And one of the things that I was thinking, well, actually, if we start getting conscious of that, that in itself is at first uncomfortable because one, it takes our attention and time to focus on that and to deal with it afterwards. Two, well, we don't always know how to deal with it. Even if we become conscious, it's like, okay, what do I do then? And then the third is, well, do our organizations that we work in, teams, communities actually support our taking care of these basic needs? And I think, yeah, it seems pretty obvious that it's so necessary to take care of them, but do we? And we try to squeeze the maximum of every employee, in our organizations, and it's not always everywhere the case, right? But it's still the performance is what we measure everything against, right? And there's some validity in that. And at the same time, as you were saying, it's like, well, we don't need to think that much either what to do and when to do, because the body is self-organizing. And that's another aspect that ran through my mind. And that's actually the definition of synarchy, right? If I read that, it's the collective intelligence naturally self-organizing itself in perfect harmony with all that is.
That's like the body. That's right. The body. Each of us have that perfect synarchy.
Exactly. And it's really acknowledging that in our collective experience, in our teams, companies, communities. And somehow, I guess there's some kind of middle ground as well, because it's, using the more esoteric yin yang kind of terminology, right? Like we're so yang right now. It's all about the, performance and objectives and timelines and deadlines. And this would be a move more towards the yin, but we don't want to go probably too far into the yin right either, because, well, there is a lot of work to be done on so many levels to bring a more harmonious reality. So yeah, that's really like a big inquiry. I don't know if you would have some thoughts on that, but I'm wondering, where is that golden middle sweet spot maybe for us to create in our communities and companies?
Beautiful inquiry. It is a beautiful inquiry because it pulls up in all of us this inner kind of self-doubt thing, right? That perhaps we all kind of go to this place of performance in order to prove ourselves, and then what is created is kind of like a toxic competitive comparison, lack, scarcity kind of society. When we study human physiology, we look at things from an anthropological perspective, but we also look at things through the development from the fetus through childhood. And we joke around a lot, right? In kind of the science circles, like when human left to his own defenses, what will he do? And the thing, when we're fresh out of the womb in this carnation, we get the new body, the soul is in there, we get the new body. The physical body, again, being so self-organizing in the sense that the soul locks in, and it's this absolute human drive, natural drive to want to share our gifts. And perhaps I'm saying this as some kind of, my own inner rhetoric, my own truth, but there's a knowing, there's more of this absolute truth around this, natural law. Because otherwise, why would we be here a couple 100,000 years? We've survived a lot as a species, right? We've been given the coveted life form for a reason. We chose into this life form for a reason. We don't just have the thumbs, we've got intellectual thought, but we also have these magnificent bodies that we maneuver around in. And when left to just be with that, there's this drive. There's an inner drive to want to exalt oneself. And it may be that we've just gotten so inverted around it because, well, again, this opens up a whole other fun conversation, Alex, around, why the collective has become inverted around this, why we've developed fear and out of that developed hate, which, by the way, there's no actual human chemistry around hate. It's like a completely inhuman, unrecognized. It's not an emotion. Every emotion has an energetic and an endocrine signature to it. It's literally like an enzyme and hormonal cocktail that creates the body sensation of any emotion. Hate does not have that. So that's why it feels horrible, right? Hate feels absolutely horrible. Anger, it doesn't feel like laughter, but at the same time, each one of us knows that anger has a little benefit in it. Anger, sadness, all the emotions that we wouldn't necessarily say are great emotions, they still feel natural. Hate does not, for a reason, because it isn't. And so we've created this experience, even in our organizations, where we're, so performance driven. Like we have to perform, and if we don't, then we're worthless. But we don't, as humans, we don't require that kind of pressure. We don't. It's the little kid. I fell down. I'm going to learn how to walk anyway. There's no it's just the natural course of things that, of course, we're going to learn how to use these 2 feet and get up. We're going to walk. We're going to walk. We're going to walk really well, no matter how many times we fall. We know the earth will catch us, and we're good. We're good to go. We got all of this here. And then we start to learn what our gifts are, and we can exalt in those gifts. And there's a drive to want to say, well, I'm a singer and I sing, and I'm giving the very best that I can today. And I go to bed at night knowing that I gave the very best that I could as a singer, and I can do even better tomorrow if I'm granted the opportunity to have another moment in time. I'll be even better, not better than someone else, not better because somebody told me to, but better than what I was before, because there is no greater joy. There is no other way. The athlete isn't like, I want to be better than that athlete. The athlete is like, I want to be better than I was a minute ago. Because why? Because what's the point? How great can you be? How magnificent can your masterpiece be just because you get to share that with everyone else that's here? And then everyone else that's here goes, oh my God, that's a beautiful song. I'm over here. Look at what I painted. Oh, that's a beautiful painting. Look at me over here. I can run really, really fast. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Let's all share that. Let's build organizations and infrastructures around that. Let's build companies around that. Let's have commerce around that. And then that is the Renaissance, right? That is the Renaissance, and there is no need. So we build these companies around what our strengths are in a natural state and how we get to best support each other in that natural state. And not, hey, come here, do this job and tick all these boxes because I say so. And if you don't, then you're going to get fired, or you suck, or you whatever it is, right? And then you're fighting and forcing yourself to do all these things that perhaps aren't your strengths, just so that you can support some external weird, rule structure that we somehow have been told. It's like, okay, I go to work 9 to 5. So that means I have to get up at 7. That means I have to eat breakfast at 8. That means, the lunch bell rings at 12. That's when I eat. Are you hungry? Are you why are you eating at 12? Because it's lunchtime. So if you don't eat at 12, then you're bad. Right? Oh, if you work, when do you work? You get up at 3? Are you crazy? Are you mad? What, who said what is right and what is wrong? And when we get back into our own physiology, the body never lies. The body is the absolute truth.
It's the acknowledgement of our own personal needs and no need to compete, to compare. And I feel that for me personally, this is the biggest, on one side, challenge, and on the other side, the biggest liberation. And I've been doing it in various areas in my life. And I must say now it still sometimes hurts, but the liberation and the freedom you get by simply listening to what you need, and exactly what you said, from the basics, from the physiology. I need a rest now. I need to, I have more energy certain days and I need to use that energy to do something productive. But then the other day, I don't have that energy, and it's okay. Yeah. And some of us are competitive. I expect that your athletes you're working with, they can be very, very competitive. But I love to hear from you that, it is about excellence in myself. And it looks from outside that it is all done for competition. But what if not? It's fascinating, and I really, really, really resonate with that. So our future Renaissance world could be that each of us acknowledge who we are and what our needs are, and then try to just do whatever we do very well now, do even better. And if we don't know, just learn step by step, and knowing that, trusting that you will learn and be better at something. That's fascinating. It's a good starting point to all of us.
Yeah, it's in a way a starting point and a finishing point, right? Where we end up in a structure of a society, I mean, on a big scale, but also in a smaller community and company scales, where people are fulfilling their potential, right? Their true nature.
And then it really, competition is really such a beautiful and wonderful thing. And I get a lot of slack for this, and especially in kind of some of the spiritual circles of competition. Why are you saying wait 10 years? When we're fully into Aquarius and the electricity of what Aquarius actually is humanity, but humanity would not be here if it weren't for this beautiful competition. But I'm not saying it in this kind of archaic, calcified way where we're competing against each other. I'm saying competition I have this amazing gift and it's so awesome and I want to fully express it in every way possible. I'm going to show up and I'm going to be better and better and better and better and better at it, because I get to give more of it. And as I give, I receive. And as I receive, I just create a bigger experience of that. And I pulsate that out into the universe, because that's why I'm here. Otherwise, it would be a waste of this coveted life form that we got. We might as well have incarnated as a flea with a 30-day lifespan, right? Or maybe not even. And so we got this life force for a reason. And sure, we can, we spend some time, we clear out old karmas, we work on those epigenetics and all of that stuff. And we also just get to fully exalt in the moment that's here and delight in whatever it is, and just say how can I be the best at it? and then come together. Like, companies are built, teams are built, athletes. I mean, we've been competing against each other since the dawn of man, but the first Olympics was about this holy human celebration of all that is the human in its power, in its infinite power, majestic, angelic, alive, vital. It's like, how far can you throw that? I can throw it far too. Yes. And there was like somebody that won and somebody that lost, but the loser wasn't a loser. Loser was like part of this experience of this dance. And a company is built and saying, I'm going to market my company because I'm so proud of this product that I can't wait to share it and have this wonderful energy exchange with you. Not, I'm going to bring this to market and somehow put down every other competitor in my space. I'm a politician. I philosophize and I lead other human beings. And so I'm going to rise to that occasion, and I'm going to lead by listening, by understanding, and be fully expressed in my gift, not spend my entire platform, debate, and money putting down my competitor. If I die tomorrow knowing I chipped away some little bit of that, I'm okay. Like, that's cool with me. What would the world be like if we competed just because competition is so healthy and not because competition is about putting somebody else down? And that perhaps is why I feel like there's so much suffering on the planet right now. So many people and just struggling in isolation, feeling like they can't go on another day. They're in so much pain.
Well, I must say myself, I don't really, I feel like maybe in the future we need a new word for the word competition, or rewrite the definition of that. Because I'm personally not a very competitive person, and it always made me feel like I want to step down when I feel in a weak position. When actually, if the competition is perceived as something healthy and something playful, then it's just why to retrieve. You may just exceed, and it's just change that dynamics of that, and that also that I am pro win-win situations, and it's exactly how you explain it. It's just show how amazingly you can sing, and nobody's going to sing like you because the human voice is so different. Each of us is so different. Yeah. But I had another contemplation when you were talking about, and also knowing your bio, that you say that you're training leaders. And then my contemplation was that you training each of human being is the leader of its own body. It's the leader. And then if we acknowledge that each of us is the leader for our own body, then other kind of definition of what leader is changing as well. And obviously there will be people who will step in that position in business, or there will be a mother who step in and she's the leader in a house, not necessarily leader at her work. But it doesn't mean that she's not the leader, because she's the leader for herself. And then that is empowerment. And I see the future society as a society of empowerment. And this is what so badly I see lacking in a current situation where the world is right now, especially in 2020. Do you resonate?
I do. And Magdalena, it's so interesting that you're saying that, because I also interchange the word athlete with that every human is an athlete, that every human is a leader. And so when I say I train athletes and leaders, I train humans for peak existence, because every one of us is, of course, a leader, of course, an athlete. Of course, we're all things. We're all things, and we're no thing. And to speak to your other beautiful observation and reflection about competition, it is a really scary word. And a lot of people do, step down from that. And just this morning, I was having a conversation with a dear colleague, and just a delightful cardio morning constitutional, which I like to call it, just vibe. And really been contemplating on the embracing the Fool card in tarot, right? And the Fool, the teaching, the magical teaching, and the spiritual teaching of the Fool is that the Fool is inebriated with spirit. So the Fool right? The spiritual teaching is treat everything as a delightful piece of fruit. Then you're always successful. Then you're always going to be in ecstasy with life, right? And the fool knows no better, and the fool knows no worse. So I like now kind of playing with this whole understanding of competitor is the fool. I know no better, I know no worse, so all I can be is the best of myself and treat everything that is around me as the best that it ever was. Then competition is so sweet. It's so pure. It's so pure. It's so innocent. It's because there's no expectation. There's no external attachment to any kind of outcome. The fool doesn't say, this should look this way. If I do this, then this will happen. Fool's like, I got a bag of, a pile of shit on my back. Amazing. But in that moment, it alchemizes into gold.
It's like, what you can do with it. You can use it as manure somewhere in the garden, right? Like, but
right, that's absolutely. Or before that, even just on my back is a pile of something. If I believe with every cell of my being that this is precious, then it's precious because it's my truth.
Mm.
No one needs to tell me that it's dog shit or gold. I'm not even going to open the bag because I already know that I'm carrying something. It's amazing. And then, then you're zeroed out. Then you're open to all of these possibilities, to exalt that, to share that, to be in service in some way. And like you said, Alex, what a beautiful reflection. Maybe that is the manure that gets to serve an entire population in irrigation system. Mm. That's how we've stumbled into our own evolution over and over again. We just kind of, and I say stumble for a reason, because we just like stay out of our own way. We're evolving whether we like it or not. We are, right? Otherwise it's extinction. And that could perhaps be the case too. I don't know. Nobody knows. But the prophecy across every religion, every culture, this bigger prophecy that's being bestowed down upon us is the Garden of Eden. It always has been. It has always been the prophecy. What is the Garden of Eden? It's each human exalting in this very abundant earth that we get to call home, that we get to merge with. And that's the other piece of the fool, right? The alchemy here also is the fool represents air. And air is just, we breathe it in, we merge with it, we ride it. It's ever abundant. Eden. Find me a human who's like, actually, no, that sucks. I don't want it. I don't want to live in a Garden of Eden. That's not for me. We all want that deep in our DNA. We all yearn for that. And whether it's that, like you said, Magdalena, the returning home, the remembrance, or maybe Alex's reflection, like this dawn of a new, whatever it is for us in our kind of generational, like chronological experience, like our linear experience here, it's new to us. And that's okay too. So what are we going to do with it? Are we going to complain about it? Are we going to like kind of beat up on this body of ours and be all self-deprecating and then go and spit that venom out on other people? Are we going to feel so isolated and alone that we want to take our own lives because of it? We're going to raise our children in that. Can't we just be done?
Don't you think that it's now the time when actually we can consciously choose? Because this is what my conclusion of this year is, that we are actually we are asked to choose. We are asked to choose. In 2020, we were asked to choose who we are, how to empower ourselves, how to feel good, even when the external situations are not looking that promising. And then thrive even in the dark times.
and perhaps it chose us,
Mm.
that we're here, and maybe we've been training physically, mentally, spiritually, training for this for a long time, and that I, again, my personal belief is that um, we've been tying our shoes for a few million lifetimes, and now
Now it's
it's
time to play.
game time. Boom.
Love
Do
it.
this. Let's win that championship, and that's the Garden of Eden Renaissance.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, sell me on another way. I mean, that's just what I choose to believe into, because that just.
Well, exactly. We're talking about the choice. You're choosing to believe, and you're choosing to believe your best self. And this is what I feel called very strongly, that each of us needs to choose, because nobody from outside is gonna fix anything. It's just us who are going to finally fix things. And start with the body. Start with how you treat your body. And listen, and learning to listen. I remember as a child, I was about 14 when first time consciously, probably it happened before as well, but I was waiting for my piano lesson, and I needed to sit still because there was 5 minutes and it was no enough time to play with friends or have a chat, but not, no, not enough time to do anything else, just waiting for my turn and my teacher to be free. And in that 5 minutes, I was just being still. And it was the profound moment, which I'm returning now over and over again. And that's the moment when we make the best choices. Yeah. When we come to a little bit of stillness, and again, rethink your choice with every breath.
Such a beautiful reflection. Oh, I love that, Magdalene.
Hmm.
It's just so healthful, right? To be in these conversations, and to be opening up and sharing, and sharing in a vulnerable way, right? In a very inclusive way,
Hmm.
because we are all in this together. We all are in this together.
And we're leaders of, as we were discussing, right, of ourselves and of the transition, hopefully, towards a better society and a better world. So
Athletes,
yeah.
performers, we embody all of it. There is not a thing that a human cannot do. And it's just, that's like what you reflected, right, Magdalene, about the choice. Like, what do you choose? And just do that really awesomely well, and just have the most fun doing it. Because what else are you doing?
So, and I know we were running towards the end of our time. So I think there's a few other things that I would have loved to maybe delve into, but I think this is a beautiful moment and beautiful point to wrap up our conversation. So really, to me, the takeaways are the presence to our body and the conscious leadership of our body at its best peak performance, which then in a way allows us to, well, self-organize, right? Self-organize ourselves, and to give the most natural, fertile soil as well for the gifts and our natural talents in nature to emerge, to be this most, productive and competitive, in the new sense of the competitive, as we've been discussing, right? Competitive in our communities and teams and whatnot. So amazing. Thank you so much, Dianne. It was a pleasure. I don't know if there's anything else, Magdalena, that you would like to say to complete this.
Well, I would like to say thank you for all of us who are having this conversation, for all of us who are listening to that. And I would like just to probably ask Dianne one more time for a little summary, or what would be your message, short message for all of us right now in this time of transition?
Trust. Surrender. Surrender to your own divinity, knowing you have absolutely everything. There's nothing you need outside of yourself. Just go forward and share that with as many people as you can. That's leadership. That's athleticism.
Beautiful and very encouraging. Great. So thank you so much once again. It's been a pleasure to have this conversation with you, and I look forward to our future interactions as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gratitude.